Hello and welcome to Verbal Tap. This is Kevin Phillips, here to welcome you to the podcast that proves fighting is easier from outside the cage. Now, some of you observant listeners may notice that this voice sounds too good to be Kevin's, and that's because it's not. It's Rafa Sparza. Hi, everybody. You may notice that our veteran voice of the Verbal Tap Octagon, Mr. Kevin Phillips, is strangely missing on this podcast right now. And I'm sad to report that we've lost Kevin. And by lost, I mean he's dead. To me. No, actually, Kevin just came down with a case of the vomits and respectfully had to bow out of the podcast this evening. In fact, we tried getting it together tonight, and we were getting things set up to go. And at one point, Kevin just goes, "Oh, hey, yeah, Raph, I'll be back shortly. I just have to go throw up." So we thought it'd probably be best if he goes to bed and not try to, talk for unnecessary reasons. Because really, what does Kevin ever add to this podcast? Jokes. But seriously, he really wanted to be here. He really wanted to talk about the last two episodes of The Ultimate Fighter, which we will do tonight. But we decided bed rest, better decision. But I'm here to pass on a nice note that he had for all the listeners, which says, Wrath is awesome. Oh, that was nice of him. I mean, it's true, but, it's just nice of him to say. Almost like he didn't say it. That's weird. Here's the thing. Despite even being super sick, Kevin's actually getting on a plane today to go fulfill his duties to be a best man in a wedding. He's not even going to let sickness bring him down. That's how awesome he is. Hopefully he has a good time there and gets better, because we will be happy to have him back on the podcast when he gets that. And with that said, I am 100% committed to keeping and maintaining the integrity of this podcast. And that's why I'd like to announce the new sponsor of our show, NOS Energy Drink. NOS. If we say it enough times, you'll just think, drink NOS. I don't see any reason to, waste any more time. I think we should talk directly to one of our guests that we have online. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back a friend of the show's and a friend of all yours, Mr. Bubba McDaniel. Bubba, how you doing tonight?
I am actually pretty tired. I'm a little, just into cutting weight and trying to just stay up and lively right now.
And I mean, man, we can't thank you enough for, on the week of Fight Week, taking the time to talk with us. That is quite commendable of you. We appreciate that, man.
Well, it's the least I can do for my favorite show. It's definitely my favorite show to talk about and be on. So anything I can do, you guys are awesome.
Appreciate it, man. Well, tell you what, why don't we get straight to it? If you wouldn't mind, since our good friend Mr. Phillips isn't here today, just kind of give us the intro. If you wouldn't mind just saying, hey, prepare yourselves for the 1 minute review, and I'm going to go straight into the 1 minute review of the episode with you and Araya.
Sounds good. And I'll kind of do it like he says most of the time. Everybody tunes in, and it's become quite famous on your podcast. It's the 1 minute review. I've vouched for the name change because it's obviously longer than the 1 minute, but
no one can prove
all
that.
Good. It's all good, and it's all enjoyable. So here it is. Let's get it started. The 1 minute review of The Ultimate Fighter.
Previously on The Ultimate Fighter, Uriah kicked a guy into unconsciousness. Oh, and Josh and Jimmy in 1-2. Bubba redeemed themselves, and the two last picks ended up being pretty good after all. While Team Jones trains, Bubba hangs back in the background. Someone should tell him that even though the punching bags are camouflage, it doesn't mean we can't see him sitting there. And Josh thinks he's still the strongest seed in the tournament. But what about that injured leg of his? Later, Bubba takes John Jones aside and asks, so Dana pretty much hates me, right? That's why he gave me Uriah, but I ain't gonna quit. And Jimmy talks about where he got his confidence from. I get my confidence basically from doing things. Channel tells Jimmy, you are fighting so much better now, and I feel if you're missing something, you're not.
Damn, I've really started to run out of things to say by the end of the season, huh? Meanwhile, back at Team Jones training camp. Yeah, okay. Bubba's just going to take a breather in next to the punching bags again? That's cool. Wait, Bubba wants to fight safe? That's what you're telling me? Time to get some blood work. Worst part, the nurse doesn't even give Bubba a sucker on his way out. That's a damn shame. Look out, everyone! It's a confidence off between Josh and Jimmy. I'm just a very violent striker and a destructive fighter. Yeah, well, if this is a jiu-jitsu match, I beat Josh 10 times out of 10. Yeah, well, I beat Thor already, and I already beat Jimmy going into this in the mental game, so it's one more fight and I win this whole Ultimate Fighter thing or something. Oh, yeah? Well, my talking head Boston accent is better than yours. And it's fight time. Round one. Almost immediately, Jimmy has a takedown that somehow ends up giving him a bloody nose. And Jimmy tries to pass guard. Josh goes to work from the bottom and starts to land strikes that slow Jimmy down. Up, 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 up! Using the cage, Josh is able to reverse position and lead a charge with a knee that sends Jimmy back. A few strikes and a knee later, Jimmy's starting to go down. Josh is able to flatten him out and a double punch Jimmy for a tap. That'll do it for the first fight, and Josh is happy. I'm the only guy to finish all of his rounds. You know, I'm probably still the strongest seed in my mind. After the break, we have Bubba's test results. He is positively not negative, so he can fight. Uriah hears that Bubba is afraid to fight him, but even that doesn't convince Uriah. Who's to say that maybe he doesn't try and throw me off my game? You know, he hits me with a kick. But don't worry, I'm just Uriah the hell of my way out of this. Chael, everyone's starting to size Uriah up. I mean, even me. I'm pretty sure I don't want to mess with this guy. At the weigh-ins, Chael gives yet another free show while holding up a towel for Uriah, and no one has any faith in Bubba. Not even Bubba, who jokingly takes a defensive stance to Uriah during a photo op. John Jones, not amused. Bubba and Uriah have a self-doubt off, saying they're the only ones who can stop themselves. Not that Team Jones coaches are any help. He's supposed to get through you. He's supposed to smash you. You're a wild card. Is that really helping? And that takes us to the fight for round one. Bubba charges in and eats a knee as Uriah falls with a right hand and... Well, that didn't work out so well, huh? After about 10 minutes of lying on the ground motionless, we find Bubba's just... Oh my god, his eye! Hell, even Carlos Condit looks terrified. Oh, no, don't open the eye. Don't... Ah! Dana then invites the coaches and the fighters into a semifinals conference. Dana tells Uriah to stay black, and Uriah misses his chance to tell Dana to stay white. Surprisingly, John and Chael agree on the fights they'd like to see, but Dana says, fuck you, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want anyway. Kelvin versus Josh and Uriah versus Dylan. Next week on The Ultimate Fighter, it all comes to an end. Da-na-na, 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 and I'm spent. Woo!
Woo!
Thank you. All right. First things first. How is your eye?
My eye is now healed. I had once again, had the haters going, there's no way you made it to the finale if your eye was broken in 3 spots.
Oh my God.
But, they don't realize that this was, 5 months ago.
Right. The magic of television confuses them.
Yeah, it's amazing, but yeah, I've taken time, done the things I needed to do, got healed up, and I'm cleared to fight for this weekend.
That's good, man. And I mean, how hard was it to not tell us about that fight? Because I mean, it's got to be something that you want to talk about immediately. But how was it to keep that under wraps for so long?
It's kind of wild, because even my family, anything like that, they didn't even know why I came out and what happened exactly, and my face was broken. That's all
right.
I could tell them. Like, they were, asking me what's wrong. I was like, listen, you can't touch my face. Why not? Well, it's broken.
Yeah.
What do you mean your face is broken? What happened? Well, it happened in a fight. Yeah, so, it was really wild. I had that cut above my eyelid, and it had to be glued, And then I had another one below the eye. It was, it glued up. And then the break was in 3 spots on it. And, for what all happened, honestly, I thought it looked pretty good.
That was your takeaway when you were watching it?
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, look, I meant like the aftermath of the eye. Watching it, it was like, damn.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. Because I didn't even know what happened. I hadn't seen it myself. So I remember going out, touching gloves pretty much, and then going, well, I guess I lost. Because, waking up, it's kind of like, oh, hey. And then, the weird part is the people asking, how was it whenever when you were there? And, I had a really weird tingle throughout my body, and it was one of those things where I was like, I didn't feel like I could move. Like it was that numb, tingly, like, your foot's asleep kind of feeling throughout my body. And, when I was breathing, I could feel the air moving through my face, and now it's like, whoa, something's wrong.
Yeah. I want to say thank you for when we did get to that point after being very serious in the show, you just saying, well, that didn't work, because that was the moment it was okay to laugh again. Like, it was fine. That was the first inclination that you were okay. Because it was tepid at my own viewing party, just to be like, this is pretty rough. I mean, I talked to him, so he's okay, but still.
It's definitely a scary moment. Like, my mom called me up, crying. She, it's something that people just don't want to see happen to somebody else. It's like, Dana said it best, you almost don't want to clap.
Yeah.
The guy won a fight. It's like, oh, hang on, but, and I mean, even watching it myself, I was like, I didn't look too good on my part, and it seemed like, I went in a little bullheaded and just kind of was like, well, let's make it dirty. And it got dirty fast. Just not in my favor.
Right.
So.
Well, the one thing I was wondering, when they were showing, you were sitting out because you felt you had these injuries, was there any taxingness on missing those days of prep? Do you think that was something that might have affected anything?
Honestly, at that point, the cutting weight, everything like that, my whole body was in a tizzy. I couldn't honestly bring myself to want to train. Like, I stayed in sweats, and I stayed, doing what I had to do to get the weight. But literally, I laid around, because after the King fight, like, I think my body finally realized, okay, you are hurting right now, and it's time to realize it. I had already made weight 3 times. I'd fought 3 times, and this was getting ready to make weight again. It would have been my 4th fight in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And, any fighter knows that's just something stupid and ridiculous. You're not supposed to be able to be ready for that. And especially being a guy that cuts as much weight as we do. And, I'm one of the bigger guys there. It was just the mental and physical state I was in at that point was probably the worst I've ever been in the fight game. I've been beat up, and I've been laid out on the side. I've had to, go to the hospital from the gym. I've been picked up. I've had an ambulance come and get me from the gym. I've been put on the stretcher in the gym.
Yeah.
But the stress that was put on my body and the way it made me feel mentally, physically, everything that happened there is, the worst that I've ever felt in my life. And it was really bad, and it showed, and to even push through to make weight again, I've given myself so much, credit for, because I knew I had to make weight 4 times, but, I didn't intend on it being, as hard as it was.
Yeah.
And it was worse than you can even imagine.
We opened up a couple questions on Twitter to people, and one thing that people asked, this comes from Spike D at MMA Power Talk, who wanted to know, how much did the Uriah kick on Sella actually tax you mentally?
Thinking about the fight, that's always something that you're thinking about, because that just happened, so you're obviously going, man, I don't want to be the guy getting kicked in the head again. Also, especially feeling the way I felt, going, oh, crap, there's no way I'm 100% going into this fight against a guy that's an absolute killer.
Yeah.
So, that was a big deal, that was in my head also, but, they say if the fight was offered again and they said, this is who you're fighting, the UFC goes, this is who you're fighting, I'm like, well, that's who I'm fighting, and I'll get ready as I can be at all times, and get ready to do it again. But, having a few days to prepare, having a few days to cut weight again and everything, there's just, there was a big climax to it about, shit, probably going to get hurt one way or another in this fight.
Could you talk us through the psychology of it? Because there was that criticism that you were ducking the fights and trying to get easier fights. The biggest thing I'm not sure that fight fans understand is the psychology behind it, and I think there was something behind that. Can you explain a little bit more about that for us?
I'm in a fight tournament at that point, and I went into the fight tournament to win, and at that point I was breaking down, and I was, I would have loved to have won the fight against Kelvin and have an easier road and things, to be able to be as in shape as you can for the last couple of fights, because, fighting 4 times, you're going to take damage. Cutting weight that many times, your body's going to be broke down. So, of course, you want the easier fights to try to be as healthy as you can toward the end. Yeah, I tried to do that. And then when, I got Uriah, of course, right off the bat, I'm one of those guys that, I freak out at you can ask anybody that's around me. I freak out at any fight that's given to me, anything, unless, I've already made peace with it beforehand. I already knew what was going to happen in the Kelvin fight. The fights you get in the house. Freaked out on that one. Sat in the room freaking out. Kelvin, I picked him. Picking him in my own head was, something that I dealt with for a couple of days. Didn't come out as high, I was still in a good frame of mind where I'm in a tournament to win the tournament, and this is what I need to do, and this is, then, get the Kevin fight and, start cutting weight again. And then, feeling, how I was and watching people eat and feeling broken down and training and, Thanksgiving happened and everything. It's just, it was really hard. So then when I hear I have Uriah, I'm like, okay. And the thing is of that is, okay, I'm going to fight Uriah. I'm going to take damage. I'm going to take a lot of damage. Now, if I win this fight, I have to cut weight again, being as hurt as I'm going to be, because it's obviously about to be a raunchy, nasty fight is what I thought. And, I'm going to take a lot of damage, and how am I even going to make weight again, and how am I going to be prepared to fight another fight after that? So, I had a lot of different things and a lot of different aspects going on. Am I afraid to fight anybody? No, they could say, you're fighting Anderson Silva. I'd be like, well, pay me the right money and I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, I'll fight anybody on any time. It's just, it has to be able to be on the right terms also. Like I say, they say you're fighting Anderson Silva. I'm like, pay me right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm cool with it. They say, you have to go up a weight class to fight whoever. Okay, pay me right. I don't care. Because give me my camp, give me time to prep and give myself the best chance I can. Okay, I don't care. Yeah. That's what I picked to do. This is the sport I love. But, whenever you're doing this and you're doing it back to back and you don't really have time to game plan or get the game plan worked or work the kinks out of what's going to happen, and get yourself prepared for the different ways that it could happen in a fight. It's a scary feeling. It's like, all right, well, here you go.
Now, I have to ask this. The photo op. Talk to us about that.
I think that's being made to be a bigger deal than what it was. To me, at that point, I'd finally just made weight. I'm about to go eat a little bit, and we're sitting there, and he does his little thing, and, he went to do it, and I froze up. I just didn't know what to do at the time because I didn't think he was going to actually get down in his stance or something. I was like, what do I do? Okay, here you go. So, and like I said, that was just made out to be a bigger thing than I think it really was. At that point, I'd already made peace with everything. I was ready to go do what I had to do. For John to, at that point to be like, oh, man. Well, that's just me having a good time. If you've talked to me, I try to have a good time. You know what I mean? And like, well, that did, and obviously in that point, that didn't work out so well.
I think the funny part to me is just in knowing your personality, I got it. But I knew I was like, well, you can accept wins and losses pretty well. But when you're looking at jokes, you're like, man, I gotta rib on all of this. This is too good.
Well, whenever you go, do I take losses? Well, hell no, I cry at every loss, and every time I lose, I cry. And I don't care because people can go, oh, he's going to cry again. Yeah, I'm going to cry again because I put so much into this to where I don't want to lose ever.
Yeah.
Like, so going into something and putting my heart and soul into it, if I don't achieve what's going to happen or win the fight that I wanted to win, I'm going to cry. And that's, at that point, whenever I sat up, I don't think I was in tune with what had happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I didn't even think I fought. At that point, it didn't feel like I fought. It felt like, damn, my eye hurts. You ever watch Jamie Foxx talking, when he does his stand-up, talking about a club punch.
Yeah.
Hell, I feel like I got club punched. Shit, I don't even know when the hell I got hit. I don't know what direction I got hit from. Screw it. You know what I mean? Like, there ain't nothing I can do about it. But once the reality of it set in, I was unhappy. I was in the back. I cheered up, and I was like, what the hell,
Yeah.
I went to a show where I thought I was the guy supposed to win the thing, and hell, I lost twice.
Yeah.
And hell, I lost 2 fights in 2 weeks. If you want to go time period.
Yeah.
Because the Kelvin fight, then Kevin, and then Uriah, that was about, a couple of weeks from each other. And like probably 2.5 weeks, something like that. And all that happened. And it really makes you start doubting yourself. It really makes you start questioning what you're doing. If this is, something that you're going to be able to continue doing to achieve the goal that you want to have. And the ultimate goal is to be world champ. Yeah. And if at that point you don't believe in yourself as, there's a possibility of doing that, hell, start thinking about retirement. But, and then I come to the realization that, okay, I'm in a crazy situation. I've been broken all the way down. I haven't been able to show the skills that I wanted to show, and I still have things to prove. So, I'm back where I'm at right now, and here we are getting ready to fight again this week.
And we hear that. Is there something to be said about, having fought both of them, both Kelvin and Uriah, who are in the final? Just what is your unique perspective in that?
My perspective upon that, I still couldn't tell you what it's like to fight Uriah, but I can tell you what it's like to fight Kelvin. And, obviously the outright favorite is Uriah, and that's just the way that it's going to be. People are going to pick it that way. But in my head, the guy that I see going into the fight, like Kelvin, the way he does things, and he goes to fight you, and he's going to come straight at you, and he's going to give you hell, and he's athletic. And hell, look at him. He pulls upsets off, and he's still undefeated after that, So you've got to think, this kid has a chance. And I'm never counting him out. So do I think it's going to be one of those fights, keep your eyes peeled at all times? Oh, yeah, because I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. But do I think either one of them have a chance? Oh, yeah. I think they both have a chance of winning this fight.
That makes sense. Now, we had another question from Amanda Dolly.
I was going to say, she is another one of the fans that has been keeping in close contact here lately. Very appreciative.
Well, we will be glad to shout her out. She wanted to know, what is one thing you were really proud of yourself during The Ultimate Fighter?
Really proud of myself. I think it's honestly being an open, honest person at that, because they ask straight questions, I gave them straight answers. It obviously might not have been answers that people wanted to hear at times, or, you should have done this, you should have done that. Well, I was real about the way I felt. I was real about the way that I answered questions. I answered the questions of the way I felt. I didn't hide it. I didn't try to, sugarcoat anything. I didn't try to say, anything that would hurt anybody's feelings right off the bat, but I told the truth. And, me being that person and being an honest person and sticking with being an honest person and not hiding who I am, is something I'm proud of. People say I'm a crybaby. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm a crybaby, but people say I'm a dick. I'm like, well, at times, but people love me. If you hang out with me, you talk to me, you've seen me outside there. It's like there have been many people say, you should have another reality show that just follows you around every day, and people would have a totally different view of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they would. Don't get me wrong. At times, they would have the same view. But, it's at certain times.
Yeah.
It's at certain situations. I tell people, again, I went to a fight show, ready to fight, ready to win a fight show. So, that's the way it is, and I'm okay with it.
You right now, at this moment, are in Vegas getting ready for this weekend's fight, and we can now talk about who you're fighting, right?
Correct. Correct, we can.
Great.
I
And
am fighting Mr. Gilbert Smith, and the cool part is that I'm actually doing it on the FX main card.
that is awesome.
That's just epic to me. I mean, who else gets to go and be on a TV show, have it shown, and then make your UFC debut on the main card of a UFC event?
Yeah.
That's just something that you can't write a script for.
Nope.
And I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm really appreciative of everybody that's involved in the sport and the organization and the Ultimate Fighter, everything together. I'm in awe, and thank you. So,
Well, describe the scene that's going on in Vegas right now. Like, how do you see everything going right now in Vegas? What is your world like right now?
I am laying on a bed, half dead, cutting weight again, and I'm cutting weight again right now. But I'm in good spirits about it. Everybody's saying, "Hey, man, you look so much happier." Everything. I'm like, shh, because I know I got to cut weight once, and I get to eat, and not worry about having to make weight again in a week. I will be eating to make myself an optimum fighter again for the fight. So, and I'll be resting. I won't have to worry about making sure that I don't eat too many carbs or anything like that to try to hold the extra water. Heck no, I want every bit of energy I can have for this one, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. I'm going to be the biggest, strongest fighter I've in the fight, like I've been most of my other fights. That's the way it is.
Now, are we allowed to ask what the game plan is?
The game plan, I don't believe I'll be divulging that.
All
but
right.
I understand the want to know it, yeah. Because
Of course.
obviously I'm fighting a shorter, stockier, really strong wrestler with heavy hands. When he starts throwing bombs, he throws them hard.
Now, I'm not a fighter, and I don't know any of this perspective, but have you thought about, because he has been quite the jokester on the show, trying to make him laugh to divert him? I think you can distract him a little bit by that.
I don't think that's going to work. He has a certain dislike for me. Is actually
Really?
why this fight's happening. Is from what I'm understanding, he dislikes me. He asked for this fight, and this is the fight he's going to get because he asked for it.
Any idea as to why he didn't like you?
The right off the bat, he didn't like me, and then when he started in the first week after his loss, started talking about going to Team Stone, and I made it vocal about that, about what are you doing? We're still here on our team, and just a lot of different things. We had probably 3 or 4 different times where me and him went back and forth in conversations where we let each other know what we thought about a situation, and everybody else was kind of sitting around just watching. They thought one way or the other, obviously, but me and him were actually vocalizing it to each other. I believe there were 2 or 3 times we tried to make amends, and for some reason we would go right back to being the way we were again in a couple of days. So it was just it was one of those things where we got along for being there and getting along with each other, but I guess that are we great friends? No. Do we respect each other? Of course. But am I the guy he wants to fight? Obviously. Oh yeah. So I guess that's what we're gonna do.
Cool. And you're gonna promise me right now at the weigh-ins you will not be doing the same photo op you did at the Ultimate Fighter with Uriah, right?
Yeah, definitely
Just,
won't be doing that.
God,
I'll probably
for the love of
I don't know
God.
what I'll do. Tell you the truth, Bubba will be just being Bubba and probably smiling, or it depends on if the weight cut got a little harder. I might be frowning. You never know. It's a toss up at all times at a weigh-in. It depends on how the opponent comes at me, stands in front of me, different things like that. Until the show, I've never really looked at my opponent at weigh-ins. I kind of look at the ground. I put my hand up for the fighter pose. I look into the crowd and don't even really look at him. It depends on, I guess, what's thrown my way again, because in the house it was we looking straight at each other, and I looked dead at people until, you know, I felt like, okay, I've got to go back to being me again, and I put my, you know, just start looking down at the ground again at the weigh-ins for Kevin Casey. I finished the season doing it that way.
I mean, the funny part to me was with Uriah, nobody talks about the fact that he's doing a human fireball. Like, he's made himself into a Street Fighter 2 character, which I immediately want to make fun of as well. So that's why I'm like, this is way more playful than it's appearing on TV.
Honestly, I think it's all right. You know, if I knew a way to do the Dragon Ball Z, you know, going into Super Saiyan thing, I'd do it. You know, but you just stand there and scream, and obviously I don't have hair to turn gold either. You know, and so I can't do that. You know, but I think it's awesome.
Hey man,
and then
whatever entertains the crowd.
Watching Kelvin and him, you know, at the end when Kelvin acted like I believe it was Honda, you know, in the stands, that was awesome. Like, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, good job, guys. So,
I was about to say, especially when Data's like, is that what you're fucking doing? Try again. Sell me some fucking tickets. It was very funny to me to see that. We're going to wish you the best on your fight this weekend, obviously, man. We will be rooting for you. And, you know, let's say you win. Let's say...
That's the plan. That's definitely the plan.
I think that's a good plan. Let's say you win. Let's say... you get a chance to talk into the television. Maybe.
All right.
Maybe. If it's a
know.
wink, you can just tell your buddies, Raph and Kevin at Verbal Tap, hey, that's all. You know. That's all I'm saying.
Like, hey. so when you hear me go, hey, that'll be you.
I mean, literally, I would write you out copy to read, and you just be like, I'm sorry, Joe, I have... these idiots gave me this to read. Verbal Tap. It's a podcast. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, and my girlfriend. He's dixing you to let me say hi to my girlfriend.
Yeah, your girlfriend. I'll be like, hi, Raf's girlfriend.
Hey, no kidding. She actually, before I started recording this right now, she comes to me and she goes, tell him I said I hope he's okay. His eye's okay. And good luck this weekend. So, yeah, I think she would be...
No shit,
Oh,
really?
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, I'm glad to have her as a fan, then.
She's a bigger fan of you than me.
The eye's okay. I'm doing well, and I appreciate the sentiment.
Beautiful. Well, I will relay that to you, man. I don't want to keep you a minute longer. I want you to get back to resting. Know that we are supporting you. We are hoping the best for you this weekend, my man.
Well, I appreciate it. Like, once again, I appreciate being on the show, and I had a great time giving my perspective. And if you figure out anything else that needs to be asked or talked about, you know, obviously next week after the show, let's do it again.
Definitely, man. We definitely will want to hear everything from how the fight was going these next 5 days for you. From beginning to finish, we'd love to hear all of that and get a perspective into that, man.
Good deal. I do want to throw this out there, though. My buddy, obviously, I had a friend die, Jason Hernandez, not too long ago, and he was one of, you know how you have 2 or 3 irreplaceable friends in your life that you can never have anybody come in. He was one of those for me, and I've made plans to commemorate him in the fight, and I've made Mouthpiece, and I'll be walking out with one of his shirts on, one of his commemorative shirts on, and we'll definitely be bringing my friend into battle with me this weekend. So I want to say, you know, I miss you and love you, Jason Hernandez, man. You'll be coming with me.
That's really awesome to hear. I can't wait for the first internet troll to just come back and say, yeah, he would.
Yeah.
You know, but no, dude, that's awesome, and such a great reason to fight this weekend, and I know you'll do him proud.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is definitely the plan, because he was the hardest-headed dude I ever met in my life, you know, and I don't think I'd ever seen anybody even come close to knocking him out. I even saw him get hit with a bat in the head one time and stand up to it. So I'm serious. Like, having that in there, and I'm going to have him with me, so be ready. I'm going to be bringing it in there, bringing his Iron Skull with it.
Love it, man. We are going to be watching and rooting from our homes, most definitely, man.
That interview with Bubba McDaniel was brought to you in part by Nas. Nas. If you have to ask why, you die.
Wow, that was a really awesome interview.
and a great way to recap the end of Bubba's experience on The Ultimate Fighter. Be sure to catch him and all the other Ultimate Fighters, except for Zach, randomly, fighting this weekend on Saturday. Check your local listings. I'm too lazy to figure out what time zone you're in. So, no one's here anymore. And now, I guess, since I'm talking to myself like a crazy person, we might as well finish off this 1 minute review thing, right? So just for you guys, the fans, here is the final 1 minute review of The Ultimate Fighter.
This 1 minute review of The Ultimate Fighter is brought to you in part by Nas. We still don't know what the shit it means either.
Previously on The Ultimate Fighter, Josh is cocky and won, and Kelvin is really, really young. Dylan has heart, but Uriah is scary. Product placement. Hey, you fucking semifinalists, look at these fucking Harley Davidsons. Even though only one of you is gonna fucking actually get one. Everyone tries on a jacket while John Jones gets his Michael Jackson on. Chael ribs Kelvin for being a fatty while giving him a manicure and cutting a talking head. Kelvin's not great at anything. He's not a master at anything, but he is effective. And we're at the fight, round one. It only takes seconds for this fight to get to the ground. And Kelvin is relentless, stuffing just about all of Josh's submission attempts. After wearing him out, Kelvin takes the back and sinks in a rear naked choke for the tap from Josh. That's the second rear naked choke for him. With this one in the bag, Chael tells us that everyone thinks that Uriah is going to win, except for Uriah. So Chael goes into full Dr. Phil mode, and after refusing to say his name and just pointing at a picture, Chael has now turned Anderson Silva into the equivalent of Lord Voldemort, and Chael suggests that Uriah can beat he who cannot be named. But Coach Stornhorst seems to think differently and gives Dylan one last pep talk before going into the fight. And Dana told Dylan he blanked his fight with blank Luke. Dylan then compares himself to Rocky. I hope he doesn't know how the first one ended. Someone tell him to end for opting as Rocky 2, preferably Rocky 4, the best Rocky, no debate. And we're at the fight, round one. Uriah doesn't knock out Dylan in 10 seconds, or even 300 seconds, which means, wait for it, we're getting a second round with a Uriah fight. Was Dylan a Planeteer? Because his ring would have definitely been Heart. Round two, more of the same. Uriah picks apart Dylan slowly, and Dylan gets a takedown, while Uriah gets a Kimura. Dylan doesn't tap, but with 15 seconds left, Uriah is able to sweep, mount, and finish the fight with some strikes, and this one's over, folks. Dana can't stop pacing back and forth, just thinking about all the money he's going to make off this Uriah kid, from the fucking bottom. And despite the loss, we here at Verbal Tap are more than happy to say Dylan Andrews is a beast and a nice guy. Good job, man. And Bubba is even impressed with Uriah. He fought 4 people. And I'll be damned if he didn't put 4 people in the hospital. Looks like Team Sonnen is going to run this final, but Chael pleads the 5th on picking who will win between Uriah and Kelvin. Chael, without an opinion, mark the date and time, everyone. And while Kelvin and Uriah face off for the photo op, Dana says, fuck you guys, try that again. So they do, like Street Fighter characters. Next time on The Ultimate Fighter, tune in Saturday for the finale. And I'm spent.
That 1 minute review of The Ultimate Fighter was brought to you in part by Nas. Nas, for when your other energy drinks don't make you throw up fast enough. And if you act now, you can get our brand new product aimed at those ready to celebrate the end of times. Nas Tradamus. We know it's stupid. Just drink Nas.
Alright guys, I think with that, that'll conclude this week's episode of A Verbal Tap. We have a few shout-outs that we wanted to do. I think I'll do a couple of them. I'll even do Kevin's in a really shitty Kevin voice. We want to thank BJJ and MMA Academy. No stalling. BJJ Finder. And also Scotch. Because that's what makes me funny. For my own personal shout-outs, I want to give a big set of shout-outs to all of the folks who were following us last week with the UFC on Fuel and watching the fights with us from Sweden. The fights were okay, but we didn't even cover it, 1, because Kevin's not here, and that's not fair, and 2, because they put them on at 7:30 in the goddamn morning, And 3, the bigger one, they toyed with us with that main event, so they don't even deserve coverage. So we're not covering it, but we want to thank the folks, Muggy and Lisa Falconer, who kept us company early in the morning and made us laugh. And Yoneith, man, we hope you had a good week of training. You're a good guy, and we like hearing from you. Other shout-outs go to Katrina Chan and Nate Pockpick, who helped me set up all of this nice equipment so that I could do the podcast on my own, and as well as our friend Phil Spargina, or Spargna, I'm so sorry I'm butchering that name, for saying, yo, what's up, where's the podcast? We love it when people care, and we hope you like the podcast this week anyway. And a personal one over to Zachary Sargent Lane, who very, very sadly came up to me while rowing at our place where we train, which is a VMAC, Valley Martial Arts Center in North Hollywood. Zach came up to me and was just like, hey man, where's my shout out? And I told him you had already been shouted out. So Zach, you should hopefully go listen to those other ones. But I'm doing it again just to cover all of the bases. And a final thank you to all of the fighters from The Ultimate Fighter. We want to thank you guys all for being good sports about our jokes and for being enthusiastic about the podcast. We're going to see some of you on the podcast in the weeks that follow, and we're big fans. Thank you for making it one of the best seasons. I know Kevin wanted me to push that to you guys because we really enjoyed watching it this year. So we hope you don't take any offense of it and come trying to punch us in the streets when you see us. I think that'll do it, you guys. It's been an experiment doing this without Kevin, and we miss him, and I can't wait for him to be back here. It's less fun without him. So we will see him back shortly, and we will see you guys sometime middle of next week to wrap up all things Ultimate Fighter with the finale this weekend. But for now, this is Rafa Esparza saying good night and good fight.
These commercials have made me nauseated.